For sure, starting my first World Group States with a W is always the best start I can ask for. If you are not confident, teams and players are gonna basically take over you.
Đối thủ Rock sắp tới thì mình đánh giá là cũng đánh khá là hổ báo và cũng đi lane cũng rất là tốt.
I'm confident in myself and I'm confident in my teammates that we can beat anyone.
Mình nghĩ xạ thủ con của Rock có kỹ năng khá là tốt.
If they wanna do this playstyle, we're happy to match, then let's just go in team fight and see who wins.
Có điều phải dè chừng khi đối đầu với lại Gam.
I think EU wins Worlds this year, baby.
对 CFO 的几位选手的话，就是他们上单 rest 就是对我来说印象比较深刻吧，所以我可能会对上他的时候，我要更加就是注重一点。
应该是他的操作和走位吧，这样我觉得就是维持自信吧，就面对他。
就希望他们跟我们一起能给观众们带来一场精彩比赛。
就不要太小看我们，我们可能会击败你。
일단 제가 구마유시 형한테 좀 배운 게 많았어서 사실 저번 연도에는 진짜 되게 잘한다고 생각을 했었는데 올해 들어서는 살짝 주춤하시긴 하시더라고요.
아무래도 제가 선배다 보니까 제가 좀 더 뛰어나다고 생각합니다. 그 게임 뭐 외적인 거나 인게임적인 거나 있겠지만은 그래도 많은 부분에서 제가 한 수 위에 있지 않을까 생각합니다.
진영이 형 요즘 라인전 하는 거 보면은 그 작년에 내가 알던 그 구마유시가 아니던데.
민철아 이미 0승 2패를 했던데 거기서 1패 더 한다고 영향이 클 것 같지 않으니까 이번에는 네가 지는 걸로 하자.
Welcome to Parallel Convergence. I'm Andesian. That's Dr. Manhattan.
Hold on.
One time I actually point the right way. He's on the other side.
If you would give me about 10 seconds, I can fix that for you. Which I was in the middle of doing as you were about to point.
Hold on. I've got too much audio in my ear. Damn YouTube autoplay. Again, welcome to Parallel Convergence. I'm Andesian. That's Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
So about them groups.
Yeah, it was just a very, quiet sort of end of the group stage, and now that we've got these off days before the knockouts start, it's not like there's been any, major changes or anything that we really have to discuss tonight. Nah.
Major changes, you say? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's been a lot of news that's dropped.
I mean, it was like the
weekend.
It was like an off-day news dump. Dear sweet Jeebus.
Everybody's like, okay, Worlds is off the air. If we dump our news, people will actually pay attention to it. So what did they do? They actually dumped their news. And of course, as always, Eating Drinking on Air is not a network gimmick exclusive. Why, Dr. Manhattan?
Because at the Not a Network, we have nothing to shtick but shtick itself.
Let it begin! I don't know why that felt appropriate.
I mean, honestly, you're not eating out of the brown bag of shame, so that made no sense.
I am eating some hamburger mac and cheese, though, that is absolutely delicious.
Hamburger helper or alternate recipe?
Regular Kraft mac and cheese with some fried up hamburger.
You know, you can never really go wrong with that.
I had some hamburger that I found in the back of the fridge that I pulled down, and I'm like, shit, I forgot to make this. So that's what it got made for. I was going to do a chili with it, but I'm like, I'm not feeling chili. I know it's going to get cold this weekend, but I'm not feeling the chili tonight.
You know what would have been interesting, especially since you were making a hamburger mac and cheese? Not a full-on chili, but maybe...
Oh, I've done that before.
No, what I was
saying... Like a chili mac?
Well, not quite a full-on chili mac, but like taco seasoning. So like a more of a taco mac and cheese.
I've done that before, too. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have any taco seasoning at the moment. No, I put some applewood seasoning in the hamburger meat, so that's what I cooked the hamburger in. But enough about my dinner, and more on to league news. I guess we could go ahead and open up with the quarterfinal schedule.
Yeah, because
I guess that might maybe a good idea to go ahead and get that out of the way first.
Yeah, because you know they posted it, they took it down, and then what do you know? It came back, and nothing changed.
Yeah, once again, Riot is proving that they're being lazy this year with the tournament. Let me go ahead and we'll share a screen here. Actually, let me do this way. That way we don't get the infamous reverb effect that sometimes happens. But there is our quarterfinal schedule. They literally just said, "Oh, you're the first two teams to get four. You're just going to go in the order that you were formed," which I guess is kind of okay. Honestly, the only change I would have made here, and I know we talked about this in our private Discord, is I would have put EDG DRX on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then moved the T1 and the Gen G games to Saturday, Sunday. Like literally just slide them down one.
So you would have still, because I'm going to go back to that.
I would have still had Rogue and JDG on Thursday.
Yes.
I think if Riot wants to maximize viewership, right? Because viewership, we haven't heard too much about it, but there's kind of some, I get a sneaking suspicion that viewership might be an issue for this year's tournament.
Well, from what we did hear about it originally, yes, they did mention viewership being an issue, especially with the time zones in the eastern regions. But you could say conspicuously that's all they've said.
Which I think means Riot's like, yeah, we got a problem. This is us acknowledging it. Don't expect us to say anything else about it.
Pretty much kind of on brand.
Yeah. I like I said, I think if you want to maximize viewership, nobody wants to see JDG Raffle Stomp Rogue.
True.
Yes, Rogue EU can technically win Worlds right now. They did get out of groups. Congratulations. Unfortunately, you got the worst fucking draw out of all 8 teams. You had a 1-in-4 shot, and unfortunately, you drew it.
It's like one of those times to win. You have hardly any whammies on the board, but you still get one. Or even on Card Sharks, where you have a king, you bet lower, and it comes up an ace.
Yeah. I hate it when that happens.
Oh, you and me both.
But I think maximizing viewership, you want to put your two games on the week, your two biggest draw games on the weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, RNG and T1, this is the LCK LPL rivalry that goes back to like the T1 KT Rollster days, like the SKT T1, you know, KT Rollster, KT Bullets rivalry days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like way the fuck back. So I'm actually kind of shocked that Riot didn't put that game on a weekend day. You could argue, but it's Friday at 5 p.m. That's still not a weekend.
How many people are going to be going out and doing something? Okay, Friday at 5 p.m.
Friday at 5 p.m., I'm probably stuck in rush hour traffic trying to get home.
Yeah, and then by the time it's feasibly over, although let's be realistic, as we both predicted this is going to go Silver Scrapes, it's already 9 if they stay on schedule.
Yeah.
How many people are going to really be wanting to stick around? It's Friday.
And
they're going to want to go out.
And that's East Coast time as well, right? We're talking times Eastern.
Right.
So imagine the California folks, right? That's 1 p.m. in the afternoon. They're at work.
2 p.m.
This is why you're here to do the math.
You're welcome. It would only be 1 p.m. if we were talking about our fine listeners and viewers and fans up in Alaska.
Which there are.
And if you're out in Hawaii, that's even worse because that would mean a noon start.
Yeah, like people are not going to tune in. The people that want to tune into this game are not going to be able to tune into this game.
Not at all.
I mean, I get we're into brackets. The live viewership is probably going to increase slightly over VOD viewership for Eastern regions. But this ain't it, Riot. Like, T1 RNG should have been on either the Saturday or Sunday. To be honest with you, you should have put that on Saturday. Sunday, you could toss up between Gen.G and DRX, right? Between those two matchups. I think they're both equally good. But I almost feel like it's an insult, to be honest with you, to put that game on Friday.
Yeah, I really have to agree. I really do. And I mean, granted, we're not knocking either of those two actual weekend series.
No, we're not. I'm just, it's more of a, this is such a storied rivalry, and these teams have such a storied past with each other that the fact that you're like ignoring them in such a fashion, right?
Right.
Well, I wouldn't say ignoring, but this is that's probably going to be the highest viewed series in this quarterfinal.
You would
even despite the fact that you're slotting it in. I mean, at least it's not the death slot Thursday, right?
Right.
But this is probably like somebody at Riot's got to be sitting there thinking, okay, what's our highest viewership quarterfinals probably going to be realistically? And Why are we not putting it on? Why are we not putting it on Saturday?
You're not wrong. They're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah. But I will say, all of these are probably going to be bangers. T1 RNG is definitely going to be a banger. Like,
Yep.
I'm still sitting here like, oh man, I really hope T1 wins this.
Mm-hmm.
I hope T1 wins it only because that means they're going to go on to Atlanta, and I'm going to be in Atlanta. So, what?
They're going to Atlanta already.
No,
Them
they're
winning.
Quarterfinals is at Madison Square Garden. Riot's being lazy this year. I just said
What
that.
what? No, whoa. What the hell?
Yeah. They're doing groups and quarterfinals at Madison Square Garden.
So then what the hell would even be the point? I know you said when they were getting lazy. I thought you just meant that with the order of the tournament. It was my understanding that even when they had everything else, it's like, oh, quarters and semis in Atlanta. Seriously, what the hell?
Yeah, no. They're doing the quarterfinals and the they're doing the groups and the quarterfinals at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that's just stupid.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out because I feel like
I feel like in my head something has changed.
Yeah.
And I'm sober, so I can't even blame any, well, technically non-violations. Whatever. You know what I mean.
Yeah, it seems everybody's like edited their articles with the State Farm change, which means they've also edited it with what the quarterfinals change was. But I feel like it wasn't always, quarterfinals were not always in Atlanta. Or sorry, quarterfinals were not always at MSI. Or
MSG.
MSG.
Yeah, this was my thing because
I'm sorry, I'm like research focused face right now.
Yeah, because my whole thing originally was, all right, your play-ins in Mexico City, groups at MSG, as you know, your 1 week, your 6 broadcast days at that location, 8 broadcast days along with your draw, same on that final broadcast day at MSG, and then you would have 6 broadcast days at the site of the knockouts, which was originally Toronto, but then they moved that to State Farm in Atlanta. And then you would have your 1 broadcast day and all your lead up and hype to that at San Francisco at the Chase Center for the finals. This is not a good look for Riot given everything else already going on. As much as I hyped them up about, hey, and a tournament, yada, 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 you were...
No, it looks like I found information here. Thank you, Wikipedia, because Wikipedia fucking actually saves everything. No, the quarterfinals were always set to be at MSG.
That is
bull crap.
That is just stupid. Dear G. I have so many words. So many words. There are words.
Because I'm pretty sure quarterfinals always traveled somewhere else.
Yes, quarterfinals.
Unless I'm fucking hallucinating right now.
I don't think you are. It was always to me.
Let me go back to 2019 because that's the last time we actually had a fucking proper tournament. No, they've always. So in 2019, which was the last actual tournament, because 2020 and 2021 don't count.
Right.
It was in EU. Play-ins were at the LEC studio.
Mm-hmm.
Group stage was at the Verti Music Hall, both in Berlin, Germany.
Yes.
Quarterfinals and semifinals were at the Palacio Vistalegre in Madrid. And finals were in Paris at the Accor Arena.
So there you go.
I'm gonna look at 2018. Yeah, no, I'm not losing it. Group stage and quarterfinals have always been lumped together. Because 2018 it was in South Korea. Play-in stage was in Seoul at Lal Park, which is the same place they do the LCK broadcasts. Busan groups and quarters were at Bexco Auditorium in Busan. Semis were in Gwangju at the Gwangju Women's University Gymnasium. And then finals were in Incheon at the Incheon Moonhak Stadium. So I guess, yeah, no, it is normal for them to have quarterfinals lumped in with somebody. See, it'd be nice if they separated that out, did more of a tour around the respective country.
Yes!
But it looks like this has been a thing for a while. I'm going back to 17 now.
Why is it that Riot seems to find ways to continually piss me off? And I'm not even in it like this.
So 2017, it was in China, and the play-ins and the group stage were in the same place. Quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals were in a different. It seems Riot gets 4 venues for Worlds. Yeah, Riot books 4 venues for Worlds when there's 5 stages of competition. Because going all the way back to 2016, before they even had play-ins, it was San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. Yes, the last time the tournament was in North America, it was under the old non-play-ins format.
Yeah.
So yeah, since they introduced play-ins, they're still keeping 4 venues for Worlds.
Which again, I understand.
Is it too much to book a 5th venue?
I wouldn't even say too much to book a 5th venue, because
I feel like Riot cheapened out anyways, because look at, so 2017 play-ins and groups were in an actual venue, Wuhan Gymnasium. 2018, let me go back to the 2018 page. 2018 play-ins were at Lal Park, which is the local LCK studio, like the regular standard LCK broadcast stadium.
Right.
2019 play-ins were when they were in EU. Play-ins were at the LEC studio.
Right.
This year, 2022, play-ins were at the Arena Esports Stadium, which is the same broadcast stadium that Latin America uses.
Yeah, LLA.
That LLA uses. So why can't we book 5 venues? Because you're already using a free venue, Riot.
I mean, honestly, I would even say this. going forward, keep the 4-venue format, but you implement my idea for the changes for the tournament.
I mean,
That way,
that would be even better, yes, but
1 venue for groups in the first knockout round, lumped together because that's 3 weeks. 1 for quarterfinals, you get an entire week there. 1 for semis, 1 for finals. You barely have to do a damn thing to adjust. I even make it to where the broadcast days almost match up perfectly. So you can save a little bit of money without, having to save 15% on your car insurance by switching to Geico. I can do better in saving your money in 15 minutes.
You earned that one. You definitely earned that one.
I mean, it was in my head, and it's like, no, let this roll. So I just did. I was surprised even myself.
I don't know. This is what comes to mind here. We thrive in the chaos. This is definitely chaos.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and partially I should apologize, but I flooded you in depth with my ideas and doing all sorts of math because, around these parts, I mean, if I have ideas and I work out scenarios and stuff at 4 a.m, I send it to the private Discord chat. I know you get to it eventually.
I do. If I'm not also awake at the degenerate hours.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, is it that hard? And do I not at least have some concrete benefits to that?
I'm looking at Wikipedia here for this year's venue listing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized something.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to take a guess as to the capacity of the Chase Center?
If I remember right, that is indeed the Warriors' new arena.
Mm-hmm.
State of the art. I want to say around 18,000.
Very good. 18,060.
Yeah.
Would you like to take a guess at the capacity of the State Farm Arena, or would you rather play high or lower?
I'm going to say that State Farm Arena, a little bit of an older building, especially compared to Chase Center. I'm going to take a guess and say lower. Really?
State Farm Arena has a capacity of 21,000.
Okay, when did
the semifinal venue is bigger than the finals venue?
Okay, when did State Farm Arena open? Because I've got a timeline in my head and I can decipher out why.
1999. Constructed broke ground June 5th, 1997.
I know why that seats so many more people now.
It was also renovated 2017 and through 2018.
Yes. Do you know why that it was renovated at that time frame and how they were able to squeeze in those extra seats?
Yes, they've removed a section of suites.
And what else before that?
I don't know. I'm looking at the renovation section, and the first thing I saw was removed upper levels of suites.
Okay. Let me try to set this up for you. Who else used to play in Atlanta that no longer doesn't?
That's a good question.
A mutual former division opponent of ours.
Let me go look at the former tenants here. There's even a even a fucking former tenants thing in here.
Yeah, because this one should be somewhat a little obvious.
Who?
The Atlanta Thrashers, the hockey team that relocated to Winnipeg to become the second incarnation of the Winnipeg Jets.
That's right.
And a basketball court is a lot smaller than a regulation National Hockey League rink. Along with those renovations and everything else, you can crowd in even more seats. That's how they were able to get to 21,000.
Yeah.
That makes absolute perfect sense. But yes, another instance of Riot shooting themselves in the foot. Yes, you're playing in the shiny new building. Yes, you're in the same state as your headquarters. But you're absolutely right. You're really sacrificing 3,000 seats. And let's face it, at a bare minimum, tens of thousands of dollars. See, I don't know if you muted yourself on purpose there.
The cable that came with this microphone is not the
Best in the world. I'm gonna have to order a higher quality replacement.
Gotcha. But yeah. So again,
But as I was saying, no, you're not wrong, and don't even get me started on the ticketing situation and how ticketing is fucked from the word go.
True.
Which is, I guess you could say, costing them even more money.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Yeah,
well, I guess you can say it's costing them even more money because if the scalpers that bought all of these tickets can't sell them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then that is costing them money because the people that want to buy these tickets end up not being able to buy them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay, sure, you made your money on ticket sales, but what about the concessions in the venue? What about the Riot merch store, right?
That's why I say minimum, bare minimum, tens of thousands of dollars. If you're just talking about the 3,000 difference in capacity and what you would
Well,
say.
if you're selling tickets, let's say you're selling tickets at $100 a ticket, right?
Okay, so that's
a little bit on the higher end, but let's say you're selling $100 a ticket for nosebleeds, right?
Yeah.
Which is about what I paid for mine. Yes, I got them through a third-party site. I had to. I didn't have an option. But let's say, hell, even let's say for sake of argument, the average ticket is $100.
So that's 300 grand right there.
Yeah. And the venue's losing, probably 40-50% of that.
Mm-hmm. So tack on another, I say 130 grand. It's roughly splitting the difference.
I'd say 20% of that. So whatever 20% of 3,000 is, multiply that by $100, because that's probably about what the average person's going to spend. If I had to take an educated guess,
60 grand.
So you're losing about $350,000, $350,000 to $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
And the city at large as a whole is probably losing 500 to $1 million if you add in local impact as well.
Right.
Because I know about impact and tourism impact and all that stuff. When you do
I mean,
conventions
hell.
for a long time.
Well, doing conventions and living in sports towns where, even smaller scale events can have upwards of $1 million in local impact a night, sometimes more.
Yeah.
Again,
I'm baffled at the whole situation, but
Riot, if you want us on your payroll, I'm not saying that we work cheap, but we work reasonable.
Look, I all I need is a company car and like a $50,000, $60,000 salary, and I'm fine.
I mean, same, except I want a specific car, but that's cheap. And it's Canadian, so again, I'm staying within NA.
But enough about talking about the schedule and the woes of Riot in North America. Let's talk about more woes of Riot in North America.
About to say, it's like, I hope he's got a brilliant segue about this. Woo!
So a report recently came out back on, what was it, Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. According to a report from Alejandro Gomez of Blix.gg, according to multiple sources, next season, the LCS could potentially be moving its games to Wednesday and Thursday nights. Since its inception in 2013, as we all know, the LCS has played strictly on weekends. There have been occasional shifts to Monday nights and Friday nights. With the various formats and extra games and things like that throughout the years. LCS has hosted some playoff games on Thursday nights in the past, but regular scheduled games on Thursdays would definitely be uncharted territory.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, a potential change was communicated to LCS teams, but nothing is official, which is where I assume that this leak came from because, long got as Travis Gafford said in a video that he posted over the weekend, not too long after this dropped. We are not in an age where you can tell orgs, hey, keep this shit quiet and not expect a leak within a couple of days. There are too many people that are too buddy-buddy with too many sports journalists that, these sports journalists still mostly have integrity, unlike the rest of mainstream media, and actually know how to protect their sources.
Well, as the old wise saying goes, the only way that 3 men can keep a secret is if 2 of them are dead.
Yeah. I don't. So apparently, professional Valorant play is become a thing, or is surging in popularity. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Valorant guy. I liked it when it first came out, but it grew old fast for me.
I mean, granted,
as an old school Counter-Strike player, I bought into the hype that a lot of people were saying, oh, hey, it's, a better version of Counter-Strike, but I don't like my shooters having abilities.
And I get that, and this is kind of what I was leaning to when I did a little bit of research, because yes, I too do some research on things. I think because of, and I will say this, even more popularity than tournaments Here in NA specifically, worldwide, I get it's another matter. But here in NA, we focus on tournaments like Counter-Strike Go, or like others like that, which lean more towards the genre of first-person shooters. And I think when you're saying, hey, you get the best of first-person shooter with some of the elements of like a League of Legends or other MMORPGers, okay, this is something that can play a little bit of everybody. You have never heard me use that term before, have you?
No, and I will. And as I've had to say to Nielsen on a couple of occasions in the past, I will pay you good money to never say it again.
Well, don't blame me. Blame old Yahtzee when he did his stuff with the Escapist.
MMORPG.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
MMORPG.
Thank you. Now I understand what you're saying.
Yes. That's what he called them, MMORPGers. And I'm like, well, I guess that's the best way you can add a syllable and make that acronym make sense as an actual word. I am going to run with it. And I've been running with it ever since.
You're literally the only person I know that has ever said that.
That's because I'm one of very few people who even remembers Benjamin Yahtzee, Sebastian Godzilla Croshaw, and the days of the Escapist. My God, I just aged myself.
Yes, you did.
I mean, it's bad enough that on a Discord server, I'm the guy that's now known as knowing like every obscure football league because I just so happen to know the International Federation of American Football and its history of World Cups. Please stop me.
No. Hello, Boomer. How are you?
Oh, get off my damn lawn.
Yes. I'll gladly get off your damn lawn. I mean, I'm kind of up there myself, but not close to you, thankfully.
Oh, what? I'm going to remember that, okay? Especially if I ever get my canes.
Look, I have to use a cane, but that's for a totally different reason. I earned my right to use a cane in the not good way.
I mean, yeah, I have to agree with you on that.
But apparently, Valorant has started franchising out leagues. Or Riot has started franchising out Valorant leagues. There's going to be 3 international Valorant leagues next year.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there is tentatively they're supposed to be competing on the weekends. And I guess Riot doesn't want to have to compete with its own products.
In essence, yes.
So I'm everybody's saying, oh, this has nothing to do with Valorant, and I would like to agree with that, but this goes back to that conversation we had about what the hell does the LCS need to do to pick itself to pick its head up out of its ass and move forward. I get that the hardcore audience, the legacy audience, I don't know how you want to put it.
The
OGs, thank you. The OGs that watch LCS, yeah, maybe weekday nights do work a little bit better for them. But I don't know if that's enough justification to go ahead and pull
a stunt like this.
Well, Can I offer, because I said I had a few things to say before we came on air. And this relates to that video that you sent me about why LCS is dying. And we'll go on to some other issues that may or may not tie into this later in the show.
I'm listening. I'm sorry. My microphone arm is having some issues at the moment.
Going back to what I said when we made the comparisons, like first-person shooters and Counter-Strike and everything else, how I first got exposed to the worlds of different competitive gaming were on TBS some years ago, even pre-pandemic.
Yeah, I remember the Call of Duty leagues that were getting broadcast live out of Atlanta.
Call of Duty leagues, Counter-Strike Go leagues and championships. I got more sucked into those.
That'll have to do for now.
And what I am thinking with Riot is like, okay, they're seeing this. I agree that they're being stupid about this. Number one, we have offered them ways to fix worlds to get them better. And I'm sure over time, especially as we get into
the community as a whole has offered Riot ways to fix their problems. The problem is Riot doesn't want to listen.
Right. So you figure, okay, if they're going to be stupid about this, Riot's probably thinking about an easier way out. Hyping up Valorant, because in the videos that you sent that I've seen, what are the comparisons that are made? Valorant in their World Championships tournament, which you have to say is unbearably simple with the College World Series style double elimination brackets leading to the double elimination main event. But without that, the fact that those comparisons are there and the fact that more voices in the community are making those comparisons just for different reasons, Riot, albeit in a misinterpretation, is saying, hey, maybe if we hype this up, we can go ahead and maybe get some linear or cable TV deals with this tournament down the road. Maybe different parts of ESPN will be quicker to pick this up and give a trickle down to League of Legends. Again, I automatically, before you say anything, I know that the logic is incredibly flawed. I'm not saying that it isn't.
I'm going to say that is like an incredibly left field take.
It's left. I get it. I am not saying, hey, this is a common thing. But from what I've known of Riot so far, it's left field, yes. But can you put it out of the realm of reason entirely? Especially if you're looking at, say, 3-year timetable, a 5-year timetable?
For Riot, I would still say yes. Riot hasn't always been... Riot's end goal is not to end up on TV, especially with terrestrial television dying. If ESPN approaches them with a deal, then so be it, right? Which is what's happened in the past few instances of Riot ending up on terrestrial TV, namely ESPN.
Right.
But I don't think this. This is a little bit. I'm. You know me. I've gone along with some very left field analysis and logic, but this is a little bit too left field for even me to be able to jump on, man.
Okay, again, this isn't the first time I've been in this situation. This isn't the first time I put you in this situation. For example, latest episode of Point of Viewer, that lasts like 15, 20 minutes. So I get it. But I am just saying there's a lot of machinations. If I'm wrong at the end, I'm wrong. But I
think you're right on the train of thought that, and I can't. Travis Gafford, which is the video that we're referring to, his video entitled "LCS is Dying." I I think that, yes, this is a possibility that Riot is trying to sunset the LCS in some fashion or another, right? They're realizing, I mean, Riot's known it for years, right? This isn't exactly, it's the best unkept secret at Riot, right? Is that esports, and particularly the LCS, is losing them money.
Yep.
I would not be surprised with the overinflation, and I think this is a perfect segue into our next topic. The overinflation of budgets in North America has to stop.
Yeah.
And I think this is a part of it. But I'm wondering how well the few advertisers, and maybe I shouldn't say few, Riot's got a decent amount of advertisers in North America. But I'm wondering how the advertisers and sponsors of LCS are going to take this move, though. Like, if this is a possibility, somebody crunched some data and put together a convincing enough presentation to the head of the LCS and the head of global esports to say, hey, moving NA to weekdays might actually benefit us financially.
I mean, if I could present the argument in a little bit of logic like I did, just quasi off the top of the dome, somebody else would have gone ahead, done a little thorough deep dive, just as you just said, to present that.
Because I also want to, I also kind of make a point, or I'm going to reinforce a little bit of a point that Travis Gafford also brought up, which is that rioters don't seem to want to work weekends. And even those that are on, strictly on the LCS project, right? If they can, if they don't have to show up on the weekends and they can get their weekends free, then they're kind of happy too. And the buy-in from rioters for LCS these days is definitely lower than it used to be. So, I don't know. We are definitely seeing the bubble burst on whatchamacallit, on the North American budget. In fact, Doublelift on his stream a couple of days ago, last week actually, back on Wednesday, really laid into it. Right? He pretty much said that the economic bubble of League in North America is collapsing, and that the LCS has reached a point where it has to downsize player salaries and other financial ventures in order to stay afloat. He said, and he was on with Sneaky, and I quote here, "I don't think there's going to be crazy high overpaid salaries anymore. I mean, esports is a business. It's an entertainment business. That's all it is." And right now, business is not booming for North America, right?
Nope.
Viewership is at an all-time low. Obviously, North American performance at Worlds is definitely going to have a hand in that, right?
Hashtag 3 and 15.
And Doublelift even says it. He says, and I quote here, "I think the fact that NA does really poorly at Worlds does contribute to the decline of League fans in America, which will contribute to the decline of high salaries. If it continues to get worse and worse and League just becomes less and less popular for a multitude of reasons, including that, then yeah, there won't be that many millions to go around." I mean, North American teams are already kind of inclined to, are definitely more inclined to promote talent from within. Team Liquid, their owner, Liquid112, Steve Arcanet, came out a while back and said, hey, we're done with the super team concept. We are no longer going to pour millions and millions into building super teams. We are going to build from the ground up. And as I said before, NA is a region where, you know, it's just you come and you get your paycheck, right? Let's look at numbers, for example, because I'm looking at an article from Esports, and thankfully they've got some numbers here for us. 2019, Dignitas gave Hooney a $2.3 million contract extension. 2020, Team Liquid signed Jensen to a $4.2 million deal. I mean, these definitely aren't the first.
So you're telling me that they paid $4.2 million to get their hands on some
Body by Jensen, yes. All right, fuck it, that counts. It's still Worlds, that counts. Don't worry, I'm getting you back later. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm well aware. Well aware. Setting
because you know what's on the docket.
Oh, I already know.
Yeah.
I mean, considering what the topic is about, of course it's on the docket.
I mean, Team Liquid tried to sign Alfari for a multi-year contract worth $1 million a year. TSM signed Bjergsen to 7-figure digits in the past. I remember Impact signed a 3-year, $3 million contract with Liquid back in 2017. Hooney's original 2-year contract was worth $2.3 million. Like, North America is not afraid to hand out 7-figure contracts. And we're really the only region that's consistently doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's North America can't afford to continue to pay 7-figure digits to players who are not performing at 7-figure dollar levels.
Nope, not whatsoever.
Especially when the money is just no longer there. Like, everybody's saying, hey, everybody's under budget crunch this year. People are going to have to take salary cuts. Some teams are probably going to try to pawn off more expensive contracts that they have on hand. Like I said, Team Liquid has already said, hey, we're done with the super team concept. We're not going to shell out these 7-figure dollar amounts to, build super teams. I mean, it doesn't say that, verbatim, but I mean, you can pretty much figure out, is it a financial, are these announcements coming on the heels of financial troubles for some of these teams? Possibly. I mean, inflation's at an all-time high. We're seeing regular sports teams struggle to stay afloat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these esports teams, it's no secret that, a lot of them are being funded by, traditional sports teams.
I mean, hell, we talk about Atlanta, look at what the Falcons are doing. To fans' benefit, but they're cutting concession prices at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where I think it's a step in the right direction to start cutting player salaries, saying, hey, you're not playing like you're worth 7 figures, especially these higher 7 figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
when you get teams that don't pay out the ass and have, domestic success, international success, you have to go back and reevaluate your platform, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Like, you know what it is? I've got the perfect analogy for it. You know what it is? We are in the LCS Moneyball era. I think this is going to become the start of the LCS Moneyball era, especially given the fact that in the past year, 2 years, the amount of statistics that are being farmed and created and used for both, broadcast consumption and coaching insight has expanded tremendously. The fact that we have, partners that League has partnerships with Amazon that can crunch all these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the resources to actually get all of these statistics these days. Like with the amount of statistics available, I am not surprised at all whatsoever if this begins the Moneyball era for North America, and we see some team, maybe even one of these bottom teams like an Immortals, right?
Right.
Pull a literal Oakland A's Moneyball.
I mean, if someone has the fortitude to really commit to being the LCS version of Billy Bean, it can be done. And damn it, I think you nailed it perfectly.
Like, I would not be surprised if we've got a Billy Bean and a, oh God, what the hell was the kid's name?
I forget his name, but I know who you were talking about, Jonah Hill's character.
Yeah, Jonah Hill's character. If you get some analyst out there that goes up to this head coach and says, hey, Peter Brandt, which was based on Paul de Podesta.
Man, I have not heard that name in baseball in years.
Yeah.
But I get that because you already have, as you mentioned, with the deals and with the primary level, secondary level, tertiary level analytics stats. You don't need that spearhead like a Bill James, the father of sabermetrics in baseball. You already have that infrastructure done. It's just who's really going to be the one to take advantage of it. And this can't be in a situation like what happened with Cloud9 and LS. It's like, hey, if you do this, you've got to give it time and to commit to it. And I think, as you say, one of these bottom teams who is going to be, all right, we're going to go ahead and have our own coaching changes like we're going to talk about with another team later on. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to run it and give it time, and it will bear fruit. And it will.
Yeah. But like I said, I think if you've got some analyst out there who is, League's version of Paul de Podesta, and you get some coach out there that's willing to be Billy Bean, and you can get, some owner out there, right? It's like, I think I honestly believe if somebody pulls it off for 2023 season, I could say by 2025, everybody's, North American League, maybe it starts spreading to European League. But I definitely can see sabermetrics coming into League of Legends. And we have a League of Legends version of sabermetrics.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't so much get it. Like, sabermetrics works for baseball because of the sheer amount of statistics that are involved in baseball.
Again,
right?
Bill James. Look up Bill James in his books and sabermetrics as a whole.
Oh, yeah.
Just at the beginning, 15, 20 years ago, and compare that to now when they've gotten even more.
But the point is what other sports out there, major sports, because I know you'll pull some obscure something out of your ass. What other major sports out there have the level of statistics that baseball has?
Basketball and cricket.
I'm gonna dismiss cricket for the argument of not major sport in North America
yet, but I get it.
You know me, I'm a fan of the cricket.
I know, that's why I say yet, but you know where my head is at.
Do we see sabermetrics employed in basketball to the level that they were employed in baseball?
According to the Association of Professional Basketball Research, yes. Usage percentage, points per 100 possessions. Believe me, with especially more so since we've seen the likes of Steph Curry and going towards analytics on the three-point shot and everything else, the APBR has really flexed their muscles in the NBA.
So we are seeing more sabermetric style coaching and drafting in the NBA.
Yeah, again, the Association of Professional Basketball Research, modeled on the Society of American Baseball Research, SABR, which gave us sabermetrics. Why are you smirking like that?
Because I was just waiting for you to flex like that. That's all.
Okay.
I knew it was coming. And as soon as you said Society for, and I'm like, yep, there it is.
Sorry, not sorry. You're
no. Like I said, I knew it was going to happen, so it was just a matter of time. But the point I'm making is sabermetrics is associated with baseball, and that's where most people see it, right?
Yes.
Sure, it's clearly it's starting to make a surge and an uprising in basketball,
yes.
which is the other major sport that has enough statistical analysis in it that it can support sabermetrics.
Especially since it's one of those quirks that you have what is called a one platoon system. You can do in-depth analysis for the same player offensively and defensively together, whereas it would not work for a sport like gridiron football to where you have your two different platoons. Soccer is another example, especially with the rise of fantasy soccer leagues, where you're getting the things like expected goals, expected threat, times and percentages at different parts of the pitch. You're starting to see those levels of analytics come into soccer a lot more. I promise I'll stop. I'm done.
No, I think this is partly I think something that the Broadhurst Watkins Sports Report,
Sports in Black and White,
should go into on an episode.
I would need standards and practices or someone else there to keep
make
me
sure you
in
don't
check
go too far off the rails. Yeah, no, that's fine. But I think talking about the evolution of statistics in sports would definitely be a good topic for you guys.
I'm gonna throw that out there. I am.
But when you look at the evolution of statistics in League of Legends, I think you're at a point where you can have a sabermetric-centric approach to the game, a statistics-centric approach to the game, and I think in North America, yes, our talent pool is not that deep, right?
Right.
But I think between all of the academy games that are out there, all of the proving grounds games, the LCS games, I think you have enough of a talent pool and enough data to be able to apply a sabermetrics approach to managing, fielding, and creating, I guess, a team. The problem, or not really the problem, but the question is, who dares wins?
Exactly. Who is going to step up and get out of, and this is what I'm going to call it, the old head mentality?
Yeah, no,
And
you're
say,
not
hey,
wrong. Somebody's
this
got
is-
to step out of that old guard mentality sooner or later and say, okay, sure, he's, traditionally he's been a good AD carry, or some scout said, oh yeah, no, this guy's performing pretty decent, but under what grounds, on what numbers? Let's look at the statistics, right? We have the technology, we have the capability to look and break down these statistics, right? I mean, league teams have been hiring statisticians and analysts, or statisticians in analyst roles for years now to try to get them that advantage. When's the payoff? Not even where, but when's the payoff, right? I think we've seen it to some extent. Some teams have, taken some risks and they've proved somewhat successful. But like I said, I think you really have to get an owner that has, or even a GM of a team that has that Billy Bean mentality of, hey, let's do it this way, right? Because I think that a lot of League of Legends are currently in the Art How mentality, right? It's like, yeah, but this is the way we've always done it. Why are we changing the way we've always done it? Or they'll look at a guy, oh, he's, in Moneyball, it's like, oh yeah, that guy, he's always got problems with the media, with drugs, with alcohol, with whatever, or he's got the bum leg, he'll never make it to base, or whatever. Like they immediately dismiss a guy over some, irrational reason. But Billy Bean is there with Peter Brand, with his statistics guy. It's like, yeah, but he bats 380 and he gets on base. What do we care about? Getting on base. And I think that's kind of like how you're going to have to look at the game moving forward, especially if you're in North America, because let's be realistic here, right? We don't have the talent pool to compete with Eastern regions. We just don't. We don't have the population to develop a talent pool that can compete with Eastern regions. We don't have a culture, whether for good or for bad, that can develop a talent pool to compete with Eastern regions. The only way we beat Eastern regions is if we outdraft them or if we out-cheese them. And how do you out-cheese an Eastern region in this day and age?
Analytics.
Bingo. If you can identify something that hasn't been identified by anybody else yet, and you can exploit that, whether it's a certain champion, whether it's a certain composition, or whether it's just how you build your team as a whole. That's like, hey, this person always is up 1,000 gold over their lane opponent at 14 minutes on average, right?
Yeah. Or you figure, hey, with this person in top lane, and this is their champion pool, and these are the ones to where they have this significant KD ratio, and with all of this in their times, it's like, okay, in these matches, they have X amount of percentage leading, and these are their strong points, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, there's so much statistic.
What?
You finally did it.
Oh, of all the moments, that was the moment that. Oh my God, this is the moment! This is the moment! You're broken! I didn't even realize it.
I'm actually impressed!
Did you not say yourself that it would be during the knockout stage of the tournament? We haven't even gotten there yet. I would pull out something at random, something obscure. You called this in a way.
I drink and I know things, apparently. But no, back to what I was saying though. If you can analyze a player and go, okay, in key metrics, this player is always up on average, right? And then you break that down even further, and you can say, okay, in this these are the matchups that are favorable for this player. These are the matchups that are not favorable. And you can draft around the strengths of the statistical strengths of your team. That is something that I see that is the evolution that I see occurring in League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Is the bans no longer become ban out what's strong in the meta, right? It's okay, sure, this is strong in the meta, but statistically, we know that if our team plays this, we're going to get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to worry about banning it out, because even if they play it, we can get ahead on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe you get those weird one-off situations like Aatrox, right? That is just way too overpowered. It doesn't matter what you play, what you ban. It's a must-pick, must-ban. But there usually isn't more than one or two of those on any given patch.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 5 picks and 5 bans on each side of the coin. And I think that if North America wants to seriously start getting competitive internationally, you can't match the talent pool, right? And there's a cap on imports, and even then, the region I don't think can really afford imports right now. We overpaid as is for some of them.
Oh yeah.
I think you have to take that sabermetrics approach and say, you have to break the game down by numbers. Because I think that's the only way you have good performance internationally.
And not only do you break your game down by the numbers, you have to break your opponent's game down by the numbers as well.
Absolutely. Because just as much as you can say, all right, we have these guys, you got to know the strengths and weaknesses of who you're going up against. Because again, as Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War, if you know yourself, but not your opponent, for every win, you will experience a loss.
Yeah.
Why do I have a feeling you do not know where I'm going at any of this tonight?
You're like out of left field like crazy tonight, and I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. You're catching me off guard, but I'm here for it. But I think that comes up to another Sun Tzu saying, in times of peace, prepare for war.
Absolutely, yes.
And right now, it's the offseason for North America. Because, you just
Mhm.
got eliminated out of groups. You've got to go home and go, okay, maybe Andesian's onto something. Maybe we need to look at the numbers some more.
It's like, I gotta know about this Dr.
We're
Man.
available for hire. You know,
I don't know
podcast at AmericanWhammy.com.
I mean, I don't know about this Dr. Manhattan guy, but maybe we need to give them reach out to them and send them an email.
But something's got to happen, and I think that is the direction that league has to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Do I like the fact that we're changing days? No, not at all. But it's not confirmed. Hopefully somebody will get it through their senses and realize that this is a bad idea. But I am not entirely optimistic, but I am also not entirely pessimistic. I'm very neutral on the matter right now.
I think with something like that, there is potential for compromise, but it's going to lead to some not tough, but significant decisions that Riot is going to have to make, especially now that a new person or a new sort of perception, product, what have you, has entered the chat. And we can all agree it has.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, with the news, because we're already seeing news on, you know, people moving on and stuff, right? We saw that Papa Smithy is no longer the general manager at 100 Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And he very much has said in his tweets and his statement, he wants to build something from the ground up. He wants to build a project. And Papa Smithy, if you're listening, you're out there. If you get another team, take the Sabermetrics idea to heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think if anybody in League of Legends is capable of delivering on that kind of a system and implementing the idea, I think it's you. Papa Smithy has that Korean broadcast experience, right? It's where he cut his teeth. I think if he takes that Korean mentality plus what he's learned at 100 Thieves, along with the idea of, hey, statistics, sabermetrics, you know, this is the new direction that we should go in. I think whatever team he ends up on could once again be at the top of North American League of Legends, and maybe next time around do a little bit better than 1-5 in groups.
You would think, but then again, it's not too many ways to where you can go much worse.
But
I mean, honestly, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you came across this little bit of Yes, I gotta put it up because I'm even stealing my own gimmick from a different show. It's not just that teams that all of them went 1-5 in groups and 3-15 as a whole. NA as a region was 2 games shy of their longest losing streak at Worlds as a tournament. By starting 0-9, their record was 11.
yeah,
I wanted to throw that out there because I see you in research phase, and it was a
no,
perfect
something
moment to...
something absolutely hilarious related to a topic from Point of Viewer the other night just came across my Twitter feed.
Uh-oh. Copy it and put it in the chat?
Oh yeah, no, I could do that. I could send you a link to the tweet for sure. And when you see it, you're gonna laugh.
All right.
But I told you.
Oh, that is so brilliant.
I told
That
you
is
you're gonna
brilliant.
laugh. I told
Yes.
you you're gonna laugh.
You were right. Oh.
But speaking of changes, like I said, Papa Smithy no longer is with the 100 Thieves. I think this is partly due to the bubble bursting in economics
Mhm.
in the LCS, but
he says in a statement on Twitter.
and we can check the tweets here. Give me just a moment to be able to get the tweets up. Email, tweeting, ephemeral, fleeting. Thank you. It's time to check the emails and check the tweets. And the emails.
I didn't know that I still had to do that part again. That was my
Yes.
mistake. You know
I don't
what?
know. I fucked up the intro, which is, why you can come in and fuck it up even more. I gotta
Okay.
get a clip of that. I'm gonna find a clip of that for when we do these damn email tweet segments.
Because I mean, as if we don't have enough clips, like, nah, I'm not gonna change everything and I'll be lazy.
Are you gonna give me a Bob Barker for that?
Actually, no. I was going to do something else.
I don't know where we're going to, so I'm just
try and be professional.
Yeah, try to be professional would be correct here.
Yeah, that's what I was leading towards.
But it says in our tweet here, after multiple rounds of talks with management before Worlds, it was clear that the shared vision of the kind of League of Legends program we wanted to build together in 2019 no longer fit the goals and aspirations of 100 Thieves for 2023. So I don't think Papa Smithy wanted to leave. I think this was a whole ownership does not agree with GM direction, possibly involving money and team composition. And thus, Papa Smithy has decided to leave.
Which, in something like this, it definitely makes sense.
If I missed something else? No, okay. I'm like, why is upset trending? What the hell happened now?
Uh-oh.
But it's not actually upset trending. It's literally, for whatever reason, just the word upset trending.
I have
because Twitter has this thing where it's like, oh yeah, you follow a guy named Upset and it's League, and you know, here's your personalized trending shit, but it's not actually Upset that's trending. It's just tweets that have Upset in them.
I have a feeling it's probably relating to something going on tonight.
No, it's literally just all sorts of random tweets with the word upset in them.
Interesting.
Yeah, Twitter gets weird sometimes.
That they do.
Because they started personalize the what's trending for you thing.
Oh no, I've seen that. Sometimes I go in, but most of the time I admittedly just ignore it.
Yeah. But we've got even more coaching things going on. Sandbox Gaming over in the LCK Live Sandbox has parted ways with their entire league coaching staff, which includes Pawn, Joker, and Micro. According to an announcement made yesterday on Twitter, their entire coaching staff, Micro, Joker, Travel, and Pawn, are all gone. There's probably a phrasing thing going on in there, but
nah.
But Sandbox woke up in a cold sweat.
Go on.
No, that doesn't work. What am I saying? No, but in news though, they did go ahead and they tweeted, they announced the release of their coaching staff at 2 a.m. and then at 6 a.m. they went, hey, look at the roster changes, look at the moves. Hello, Ryu, welcome to being our head coach.
Wait, hang on.
I give that a 0.5. Look, if you're betting on the over, it's looking pretty good right now. We still got like 2.5. We still got 3 weeks of League of Legends to go. I may have understated the over under, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure if anybody who's betting on the under, they're like, okay, he's gonna have an Aaron Judge moment. Just wait.
But yes, Ryu came back from his military service, which we're getting to talk. We'll be talking about more military service in a moment.
Oh, and I have a whole ass other thing to say about that.
Yes, Ryu went on his mandatory conscription back in early 2020. He released in July of 2022 this year. He announced his return to League of Legends. He says he wanted, and he said in a tweet, he said, "I want to work as a coach." So Live Sandbox signed him to their academy squad. They got third place in the 2022 LCK summer season, so it's kind of actually a little bit of a shock that Sandbox released their entire roster the way they did. But the only reason why they didn't make it to Worlds is because they lost to 6th place DRX in the regional finals.
That's a pretty decent kind of a reason. If you have high hopes like that, and you're thinking, hey, all we got to do is just pull through to make it to Worlds, and you get upset, there's going to be a reaction.
I mean, you're entirely not wrong. I mean, Ryu had high hopes for a living, right? He was shooting for the stars and trying to become a coach. And he's now made it a kill. He's now made a killing by becoming the Sandbox head coach. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
That was pretty good. That I was impressed.
Well, I'll say this. Ryu probably doesn't have too many dimes right now after having gone to military service, but I'm hoping he's got a vision for Sandbox moving into spring of 2023.
I don't know if I could give you another, but I know where your head was at.
Fine, I'll give myself another because I thought that was pretty damn good. Munner set up a damn two-part to only get one monkey. But yeah, the legendary unfortunate side of look at the cleanse, look at the moves, Faker. What was that? Is now coaching a team where Faker's going to have to compete against him. I honestly think that Faker's could do the same thing that Ryu's done, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're a couple of weeks away from the end of Faker's contract with T1, right?
Right.
He's done after Worlds, which I believe this year contract day is November 14th.
Thereabouts.
If I really want to, I could go pull it up in the contract database here because I do have a link to it. But I believe I want to say it's the 14th. No, sorry, I'm off. It's the 21st. But still, he hasn't renewed his contract yet. Which a lot of people are thinking, is Faker going to renew his contract with T1? Or is he going to go off to military service finally? He's still got 2 years left. And apparently I have to deal with something extremely urgent, so I will be right back. Excuse me.
So, and this is kind of a bit of a bridge into this situation. With Faker and with what's going on right now in South Korea in general, as we are seeing with, and yes, this is a weird tie-in, but stay with me, BTS, popular K-pop band, they are going ahead and they're getting to their age limit as far as their mandatory conscription. There were attempts at the legal maneuvering to get the band an exemption. However, with calling it regional tensions, as I have described previously, and the situation going on a geopolitical scale, despite BTS's fame and what they have done for South Korea, the now more conservative government, who's been in power for a couple of years, said, no, we get that, but you really gotta go. To the point to where you've even had free concerts by BTS in Busan. They've got their anthology they're setting up, and I've had conversations about this, about what this would mean for the future of BTS as a whole, especially with someone else, but that's probably going to be a topic for Point of Viewer. Now, with this, why Faker has been brought into it. Welcome back.
I see you've already gone ahead and transitioned into the BTS thing.
Well, part the BTS thing, but I'm not going too deep into it because...
Oh, no, that's fine, because that's what I was going to transition into next anyways, so...
Yeah, and the reason why I would say with that, because, hey, with BTS in particular, and why Faker's being brought up because of the age, everything and what's been done for South Korea, free concerts, not delving way too personally point of viewer-esque, because we don't want a mini POV segment on parallel convergence, but with BTS, I have a feeling once they're...
I might lose you for a second here. I'm getting hang time on Google Chrome.
With the BTS in their situation, when they're talking about coming up and coming back in 2025, I think their time is going to be done. If you feel I'm wrong, go ahead and look at Just Be and tell me that they're not BTS 2.0, younger, with more moves, and they can sing in English. That's all I'm going to say about that. But as far as with Faker individually and his name being brought up, even though he has that time, I think that he's seeing, as you mentioned, Andesian, what Ryu is doing, transitioning out of playing, going into coaching, and now with the expansion of even position coaches, the academies, even different amateur leagues and what have you, it's like, if I go ahead and I do this now, especially if I get a fairy tale ending, my contract's up, I go ahead and I win Worlds. Okay, this is the way for me to go out. I'm going to be remembered for this, do my 2 years in the military, and coming out at 28, I can go ahead and be a coach as well. And herald himself a potentially very lucrative deal if all of those stars align, which, thanks to my crystal ball picks, there's a very, very good likelihood of that happening. So that's where I'm leaning as far as these connections. Why in particular Faker? Well, hey, when you're the GOAT, when you've now won about 75 or close to it games at Worlds, you're regarded as the best of the best of the best that's ever played and the best that will ever be. Yeah, you're going to be brought up and saying, hey, if these cultural icons of us have got to go, why don't you, even though you're younger and this and that? And a bit of a loosened, sort of a non-vacuum argument, I understand the logic. But you're not necessarily comparing apples to oranges in these situations. You're more comparing a Fuji and a Red Delicious to a Granny Smith. And that's arguably how I see things.
Well, I know Faker's kind of getting drawn into that whole BTS argument because everybody's like, oh, he's got an exemption. No, he doesn't.
No.
And Faker, like you said, Faker's 26. Mandatory military conscription is 28. Like, you have to serve by 28.
Have to serve by 28 so you can be out by 30, and then you have your time in the reserves by the time you're 35.
BTS was granted, or at least one of the oldest member was granted a 2-year deferment, not an exemption.
No,
but
and
he was granted a deferment to allow him to defer up to 2 years and go in at 30. But I guess he's decided, or his management has decided for him, one of the two, because that is unfortunately a thing in Korea.
For him to go ahead and take the military service now at 28, have the whole group go in together, do their 2 years together, and resurge early 2025.
Well,
or probably mid 2025, depending on what the enlistment dates are and all that stuff.
I would say
because they have to do 18 months.
Yes, I would say closer to mid 2025 because they're organizing everything now. They've got their anthology album. They've already started doing solo projects. And with BTS in particular, there's two different things. Number one, when it comes to their management, they pretty much are their own management. If you were to look at Big Hit Entertainment, a publicly traded company in South Korea, they are the primary shareholders in that company. There was a large to-do about how much ownership they really have and reasons behind that in Big Hit developing other talent that was not BTS. But again, don't ask me how I know these things. I just do. The reason why they're finally...
I've got a good read. I've got a good read on how you know these things, but
another reason of why they're going in right now, not just with the management, as you said, with the 2-year deferment, what BTS was doing was trying in a little bit of a legal battle to get a group-wide exemption on the similar lines as Korean national baseball teams and athletes who, because of their performances and how they say the greatness that is provided South Korea, all right, this is worth it to where you get an exemption, even though they've brought in billions and trillions of won and are known worldwide. The, again, newly conservative government that I had mentioned going as far back as last year, and the geopolitical and heavily led regional tension. China! Excuse me. That part kind of played into it and saying, yeah, no, these are more extraordinary times and extraordinary different measures. You're getting your ass into the military. We ain't having it.
Now, you and I both know they won't be sent anywhere close to front lines.
Oh,
or
no.
Put in any sort of danger whatsoever. Because heads will fucking roll. If anything happens to any of the members of BTS.
Some heads are gonna roll, but as I've mentioned earlier, as I called them BTS 2.0, just be, again, BTS 2.0 for a reason. Younger, have more moves, can sing in English, already making a presence in North America. Believe me, I could go into a whole ass spiel on Point of Viewer in the near future about that. But I will agree with you in the fact that while BTS are not going to be the entertainment soldiers of administrations past, they will be getting much more of what I like to call the side treatment. They're not necessarily going to go any sorts of combat or anything. However, after the mandatory basic training, they will most likely go on a desk duty, in essence.
Yeah.
Sometimes I swear I know too much about things.
And I have a feeling that's what Faker's going to get as well when he enlists in the military.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think another thing to sway this, as I mentioned, if they get the fairy tale ending that T1 goes ahead and wins Worlds, that will be the perfect setup for him. He will be hailed as a hero. It would be an even better look for the South Korean government that he is going ahead and doing this time without any fuss. He'll get his desk duty, come back, land himself a more lucrative deal than average to be a coach.
The thing with Faker is if he goes off to the military, when he's done his 18 months, do you think he's coming back to Korea? Or do you think he actually does what a lot of the former T1 heyday players, the legacy players, or members, I should say, have done, which is go elsewhere? I mean, we've seen Coma go off to LPL. You know,
Right.
Bengi, Peanut. I mean, these are players that have gone to all sorts of different teams, right?
I will say this.
Do you think Faker now I think it is very safe to say that Joe Marsh or even whoever comes after Joe Marsh with the ownership of T1 will leave an open-ended offer on the table for Faker, right?
Yep, absolutely.
When you come back, whatever the hell you want to do, you want to play, you want to coach, you want to analyze, whatever you want to do in the org, we will make a spot for you.
And this
But
is
do you think that he takes that offer, whatever it is, or do you think that he finally explores other options seriously?
This is what I really was going to lead into. He's not going to definitely go one way or another, but he's going to give T1 and LCK as a whole first right of refusal. It's like, okay, if
I think it's T1 first right of refusal, LCK second right of refusal, and then after that it's I'll go wherever.
Exactly. It's like, all right, T1, if you're going to do this and that, I will gladly stay. If T1 doesn't meet that, he will explore with other LCK teams. And if that doesn't work, then yeah, the door is just Aragorn wide open.
Now, the problem for Faker that I potentially see, right? Faker has been learning English over the years. I don't think Faker's English is still that great. I think that closes the door for him on a Western team. Western team, somebody might try to do it, but we've seen it before where we've pulled in coaches from Eastern regions that don't speak English and require a translator, and, well, no translation's perfect, right?
Right.
Things get lost in translation, whether it's tone, whether it's the verbatim of a translation, whatever the case may be. But I don't think Faker can go to a team, like to a North American team, and coach, at least not effectively.
Not yet. I mean, if there's opportunities for him to, during his service, continue to learn English, then it's possible. The door is a little bit farther ajar. But I'm well aware that's a pretty significant if.
But I don't doubt that Faker could make it work in China. He could make it work in the LPL. Maybe he could make it work in Taiwan. I doubt he goes down to a minor region like that.
No.
But somebody will give that man a job somewhere in the world.
I just hope and pray that it doesn't. A lot of ex-pros go the broadcast route, right? At
Mhm.
least in traditional sports. For the love of God, please don't do it, Faker.
No.
You will
No.
disappear out of relevancy so fast it's not even funny.
And I think honestly, he's got people in his ear that he trusts that helps on that front that are giving him that same advice.
Like, if you're going to do broadcast, you have to do English-speaking broadcast.
Yes.
Because regional broadcast sure, you'll be maintained regionally, but nobody's going to watch you on the international audience, and Faker's fan base is truly international.
That's why, if anything, he will definitely go, at least from where I'm sitting, broadcast or not broadcast coaching route. Yeah, coaching.
Which makes the most sense for him because it keeps him in international relevancy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, T1 are doing great. Oh, wait a minute, that's the T1 that's being coached by Faker. Right? It gives people a reason to continue to talk about him.
Of course.
And Faker's already got a decent brand as is, but I think the direction Faker should go in should be coaching. The man has I don't want to say unprecedented, but I would say unprecedented viewpoint on the game.
Now imagine this.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Well, hear me out, because I think so, Brain, but where are we going to find a tattoo parlor open at this hour?
You know what?
You know I had to. I had to.
Yeah.
Now, you know how I am as far as putting some things out in the universe, right? I may or may not, and people, I don't profoundly apologize, but sorry, not quite so sorry. You're welcome. If a certain tweet that I made with a hashtag, I don't know, hashtag Westround 2024, if that comes into existence, don't ask.
I was going to say, now you lost me.
Don't. I'll explain off air if you want me to. But, yeah, that gets
I was going to say Faker coaching a sabermetrics team, but...
Well, I'm not. Well, I was going to go along that route. Faker coaching a sabermetrics team who would really be off the wall. 2025, maybe 2026, Faker versus Ryu coaching opposite teams at Worlds.
I mean, it ain't impossible.
That's what I would be leaning towards. And imagine how much shit people could flip and lose if that were lined up. And even more so if indeed Faker coaches a sabermetrics team. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. That would be huge.
And thankfully, we wouldn't have to worry about that tournament possibly being in NA unless they, finally listen and change the format and do it right.
But yeah. Ah, shit.
I think that was my warning. It's like, nah, Dr. Manhattan, now you
I gotta go. My complex fire alarm's going off.
Alrighty, because I was about to. I think we covered everything to sign off, anyways.
We were gonna talk about Sven Skjern possibly making a comeback, but that'll have to wait.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go because I need to go investigate what's going on.
Alrighty, so yeah, so we will be going ahead and talking about that, but as it is, we're already at the 2-hour mark. We will go ahead and save that for next time, but there is a whole lot of moving and shaking. I'll cover it briefly. Sven Skjern, who LCS MVP, and we were talking about this and also other arrangements. So, yep, I might just go ahead. We'll call it because between this Sven Skjern and being like, hey, he's putting out his team announcement saying he's going to look for a team for the 2023 season. He took time off to spend with friends and family, and he was also coaching Cloud9. I wouldn't necessarily emphasize that for this season. And it's going to be interesting with his particular resume in LEC and LCS as far as, all right, got nearly a decade of experience, 2019 MVP in summer split, 3-time champion, has been to Worlds 5 times, been a semifinalist. So it's like, all right, this, again, with the teams though, because yes, yeah, he was starting jungler for Evil Geniuses in 2021. Maybe this could help him. Maybe this could potentially hurt him. I honestly think this would be a good time to see how not just he does, hopefully he gets picked up, but how the teams will really approach this, given all of the issues that we've discussed. So, this is going to be one of those stories, especially if you have teams that go ahead and begin to implement the sabermetrics code or approach. And as contract day is coming up, as Andesian said, in just a little bit over a month from now, we'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll be talking about that a little more next time on our regularly scheduled show. We're also going to talk about another potential elephant in the room, LCL in Russia. We know what's going on, especially why CIS isn't at this year's Worlds. Now LCL, especially with, I'm sure, a favorite team of many Unicorns of Love, they're coming back in some form or fashion. We don't necessarily know as of yet. Could they go ahead and restart their own league? Could they be a feeder system? But a lot of those are going to be discussed much more in depth next week. As far as coverage for this week, definitely stay tuned to our socials. Quarterfinals do start Thursday. We're going to try to get at least some measure of coverage for that, and especially going into the weekend games. Don't worry, we won't forget. We'll be around in some way. But aside from that, thank you for watching and listening. You can find us on Twitter, twitter.com/notanetworkpods. You can also find me on my personal Twitter at SquidSportsHead. You can find Andesian at the Andesian. You can find us on Twitch, twitch.tv/AWP podcast. Yes, that is in the process of changing twitch.tv/Andesian for his personal one, and for YouTube at search Not a Network Podcast. Yes, I know it's tedious, it's cumbersome. We're going to be working on shorthand for that. But for now, for Andesian, I am Dr. Manhattan, and we will see you next time. Keep an eye out. See you later.